It's about 2:30 in the morning, and can't sleep. I ate a 85% chocolate bar in the before I went at night. So I guess the caffeine or the stimulant in there makes it hard to sleep. And just was thinking about different things. Wanted to share a couple of things. Um, the problem with the homelessness. Um, I guess I don't know. In California, I know it's really uh, housing inventory is so low, and it's hard to find a place to rent even. And it used to be. I remember in the early '80s, I rented a place for like $12 a week, and then I rented a place for like $120 a month, and it was pretty nice places. Kitchen, um, bathroom. Sometimes it was a shared bathroom, but hey, that was great for me. I mean, hey, you could live well like that. Maybe you couldn't get married and have a family like that, but I remember way back in high school, all I wanted to do was have peace. I didn't want to join that rat race of people trying to make a lot of money. They compromise themselves, they give in, they sell their souls to make money. And I knew in high school, I knew right then all I wanted to do was live uh, a kind of an austere life, even just in a room, rent a room somewhere, because you could rent a room really cheap, and you didn't have to all that material burden. You didn't have to feel. Of course, there was some material burden, and I do day labor places and couple 2 or 3 days a week, and that would be enough for me to eat and to live on. I had freedom. That's what I wanted, was the freedom and no pressure. I couldn't stand that pressure. And yeah, back in those days, you could rent a place so cheap. And it's like that old song, trailer for sale or rent, rooms to rent 50 cents. So the society back then made sure that everyone was taken care of. See, that's the difference between then and now. Then the poor people, at least they had a place to sleep. There was no homelessness. That was the way the society cared for people. And Kennedy came around, there was a war on poverty. And Johnson was the big guy when the war on poverty. And it was a war against the poor, really, is what it turned out to be. Because the war on poverty, I mean, people in the Appalachian Mountains and all that, they had cabins and stuff. That's a good life. You go to third world countries, so-called third world countries, and the government doesn't have all these restrictions on them. They can build cabins. In Mexico, the government gave all the land to the peasants. In this country, the federal government owns the land. So much of it, like in Oregon now, where they're having that problem with the ranchers and things, and the standoff there. In California, the government owns, I think, 35% of the land. The most beautiful land. The redwood forests and the beautiful forests in the Northwest, all government owned. They give you a little slice of some rotten land that you can buy. And now they got so many restrictions on there. You can own 100 acres, and you're not even allowed to camp on your land in most places. In some places, like up in Crescent City, I think you can camp for I don't know, 15 days a month or something, which is pretty good. But who wants to live up there where they got that big, high security prison and half of the town works for the prison, and it's kind of a dark place. But you go to the other counties, they won't even let you camp on your land for one day. You can. The only thing you can do with it, is have a picnic on it, because a lot of them you can't even get a septic approval. you know, I mean, even if there's a place up in Mendocino County where you can buy like 5 half an acre for $5,000, but you can't do anything on it, you know. Dogs can pee everywhere, and the people aren't allowed. For some reason they think a person's urine is like some kind of a hazardous waste or something, you know. It goes back into the ground. The ground is a natural filter for it. It's not going to contaminate anything. But when you start building septic systems, that's when you contaminate everything, concentrating it all in one place, you know. But urinating against a tree or on the ground, I mean, you could even vary it, you know. It's not going to pollute the land. And what about the dung? Well, in the Bible times, they had dung hills. It was used as fertilizer, stank. But you keep it away from the people, you know. And after a while, it deteriorates and it goes back to the soil. It makes great fertilizer. You know, there's no danger there. If only we lived according to the system, not that man created, but God already created a system in the earth to cleanse everything. And the earth was beautiful, and the streams were pure and crystal clear and clean. Drink right out of them. But today everything's polluted by man, and they got all these regulations, not in the right place. They want everybody to join the system where you have to be working your head off, compromise your soul in order just to live a normal life and get married. And that's why there's so many problems today. It's all corrupt. And, you know, and who wants to get married if you have to sell your soul? And then the women are ruling. And I mean, they got everything so twisted up like Satan wants it to be. And that's why it is Satan's world. And, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And also, heard an interesting program on the Coast to Coast about the genealogy of the tribes of Israel, the 10 tribes of Israel. How, like the tribe of Dan, I knew this a long time ago, and I knew that the United States was the tribe of Manasseh, from Joseph's two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim was the British Isles, because when they came out of Assyria, they came through the Black Sea and went up to the British Isles. And Denmark, actually, if you look at that word in the Danish language, it says Denmark. They left their mark. They left all the cities in Denmark. Many of them have the word Dan in there because they left their mark. They want to be known. And it's so interesting because of all the stone of scone that Jeremiah brought to the British Isles, that they laid at the throne of the kings of England and Scotland. And it was the Jacob's pillar, the stone where he laid, he slept on that night as a pillow, and he had that visions of God, you know. And that stone was used in the coronation of kings of England. And it's just very interesting. And they brought out a lot of things I didn't know, you know. And it was it was 2 nights ago. It was on what was that? I think it was the 29th of January of 2016. And you look it up. Yeah, it's really interesting. So, we're Israelites, you know. And that's what the preaching to the lost tribes, you know. Jesus said, I send you not but to the lost sheep of the tribes of Israel. And but that's not important. It's not the flesh that's important. It's the spirit that is life-giving. But you wonder why that the Christianity was in the European nations and in America, because we have a natural yearning for those things that are of God. You know, God chose Abraham, the Hebrew, and through his seed all the nations would be blessed, and through him there would be nations and kings of nations, you know, which is fulfilled when you know the real seed of Abraham. They didn't just end there, and they weren't lost. They didn't know who they were, but Yeah, we have a Hebrew background. The people from Europe and uh, it's mostly like the people from Ham are the African descendants. Japheth or the Oriental people, and the Semitic peoples are the light-skinned and light-haired and sometimes dark-haired people, who are the Europeans and things like that. So it's very interesting, you know. And right now we have gone so far astray to forget God. And yet He's our Father. He's the goodness of everything good. And we've gotten on a path to worshiping demons. And Satanism has infiltrated this in such a great extent, and it is because the great falling away has occurred, as it spoke of in Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians. And now the Antichrist is going to come soon, because this great falling away, which actually happened in the 60s, where it was all turned upside down. Before that, everyone believed in God, or confessed to believe in God anyway, and went to church and learned the morality of God. Now it's been turned into disgusting filth of immorality, lesbianism, and all this weird crap that is all satanic. And they want to do this to you, make you into zombies, moral zombies, so they can bring this Antichrist and you'll swallow it. And people are lost today. That is the number one problem in the country and in the world today, is people don't know their origin with God. And it's destroying these people permanently. They've adopted, I've known people that have adopted all kinds of wickedness and lies and murder, thinking that's the way to go. Selfish, immoral, sick people that smile to you and talk in such a kind little voice. So concerned, you know, so great humanitarians, and yet they are the scum bucket, murderer, liars in this world. And they make me sick to my stomach, and they're going to pay for all of their sins, and they keep them hidden so well, they think. But no, it's going to come out, and people are going to see them for the scum bucket they are, and they're going to pay heavily for all their sins. Nothing covered that shall not be revealed. And that rich man that compromised his soul is going to be tormented when Christ returns. Believe it. And those that don't believe it, they're going to pay, man. Because I've seen it up close and in my family. And I'm sick of it. And God is going to straighten everything out. And them little scumbuckets that passed off as being cool, humanitarian, and such caring people, they're going to get exposed, man. And they're going to pay heavily for their sin. I'll tell you right now. And, yeah, so they're destroying the people. You know, they got homeless people, and then they got the rich people. There's no middle ground anymore. And more people are becoming homeless. And this is disgusting in God's eyes. He says, what mean ye that you grind the four faces of the poor, saith Jehovah? And that's what they do. He says, not only do you eat the good part, but you must you tread the refuse with your feet? They don't even let people live. At least in third world countries, they let the poor people live. Not in this one. No, you've got to be homeless, not have any place to lay your head, hunted down by authorities often, and persecuted, filthy, stinking, no place to take a bath. That's what they've done to these countries, this country, these ungodly bastards, the King James Bible calls them. Not sons of God, but children of their father, the devil. And now, no matter how hard they try to hide, God is going to find them out. And they'll be exposed.